Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to mulliganspharmacy.com. Life's a beach with Mulligan's Pharmacies. Open late on the Dunmore Road and Intramore.
Good morning and welcome to the show. Thanks to Ollie and Marie, and I hope you have a great weekend, folks. Our text and WhatsApp number 083 3333 975, or you can call 051 846 123. Shortly we're going to be going live to the Four Courts for the very latest on the injunctions against the farmers. We're also going to be talking about leaving cert results, and also would you encourage your children to take an appeal, I suppose, if they feel their results are not the level that they wanted. Is it a good thing to do? Have you had any experience? Have you actually been successful? One of those rare people that has a success in trying to get their grades upgraded. We also want to hear from Irish parents. How do they deal with their children when they have bold tempers? We'll be talking to Niamh Fitzpatrick about the upcoming Dara Fitzpatrick Run. We're going to have some competition prizes to give away for the Crowman that's on this weekend on Saturday night. Also more on that fabulous event that's taking place at Mount Sion tomorrow in Waterford, Wexford Charities hurling match. And we're going to be talking to Katrina English about the remembrance of the Magdalene Laundries. A lot of sports coming up. One thing that happened in sports yesterday. Have a listen to this guy. Do you think he's stark raving bonkers?
And so we will become eternal. Only accidents, crimes, wars will still kill us. But unfortunately, crimes and wars will multiply. I love football.
I love football, yes. That was Eric Cantona who was speaking yesterday at the draw for the Champions League. Absolutely brilliant, you know. He's talking about stealing the show. On the face on the two boys, on Messi and Ronaldo looking at each other. They hadn't a clue what he was on about. I don't know if Cantona, whether he was taking the mick or not, or whether it was actually something important in what he was saying. But Cantona doing what Cantona does best. Also in sports, there's a big match on up in Dublin this weekend, the Dublin-Kerry final. We want to know any Dub fans out there, any Kerry fans, any people that have pretend they're Dublin fans and then they don't really know parts of Dublin. They just may be going on the roller coaster. So this morning I'm asking you 5 riddles, and there's no prize for this, but you can have a think about it, okay? If you think you know your Dublin, if you've worked up there, if you've studied up there, can you figure out which of these areas are part of Dublin? One is a very dark boulder. What area is that? Another is a church reptile, a breed of sheep, a gravel paste, and move out of the way. So a very dark boulder, church reptile, a breed of sheep, a gravel paste, and move out of the way. Gavin Whelan will be on. We will ask him later on if he knows those 5 areas of Dublin, if he can identify them from the riddles. Now, how would you feel if your elderly sick father was in desperate need of diabetic medicines, but you're thousands of kilometres away and you can't get in touch with him? Kashmir is in the northernmost geographical region of the Indian subcontinent. Many of you may know it through the famous Kashmiri rugs. It's a bit like, I suppose, the best way of thinking about it, a bit like Northern Ireland. It's a disputed territory. But there's people living here in Waterford, such as Wahid Atlaf, who are worried sick about their family members over there. Wahid, good morning.
Morning, Damien.
You're into us this morning in troubling times.
Yes, of course.
For what's happening in Kashmir. Tell me a little bit about yourself first and your family.
Damien, my name is Wahid. I'm one of the doctors working here in Waterford Hospital, and I've been in Ireland for the last 12 to 13 years. My family is settled here. My wife is here. She works in the hospital as well. So
her name is
Sheba. So she works here in the hospital as well.
You have an extended family?
Oh yeah, I have an extended family. My parents, my all siblings. My parents are living in Indian-occupied Kashmir, and which is in trouble at the minute.
Explain to people about Kashmir.
Yeah. Damien, Kashmir is the northern state of India, one of the northern states of India. And until 1947, it was called the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. And it was occupied, it was never, as you know, that India and Pakistan were occupied by Britishers until 1947. But Kashmir was it was called a princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. And soon after the 1947 Britishers left, they divided India and Pakistan into 2 countries. And they left the this princely state of Jammu and Kashmir on its own. It wasn't handed over to India and Pakistan.
A bit like Northern Ireland.
It was, yeah, surely. But soon after the Britishers left, the state of India and the state of Pakistan started to fight over the territory. And from 1947 up to now, there have been 4 wars for the same piece of land, the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. And currently, as if now, it has been divided into 3 parts. One is occupied by India, called Indian Occupied Kashmir. The second part is occupied by Pakistan, called Pakistan Occupied Kashmir or the Azad Kashmir. And the third part is occupied by China, which is called Aksai Chin. So it's been divided since into 3 territories.
And in terms of population, it's how many millions?
So there's 12 million population in the state of Jammu and Kashmir currently. And majority Muslims, around 65 to 70% Muslims, and 30% non-Muslims, which includes Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists and the Hindus. So it's a combination.
People may have seen on the news recently in the last few months that there has been an escalation of tensions. There have been troops on the streets. Only on the BBC News last night we saw reports of people having been tortured, people having been beaten. Tell me about your fears for your family.
We've been all brought up in a difficult situation in Kashmir. Since I said I have been here for 13 years, but before that I have been living in Kashmir. And it has always been a troubled part of India because democracy, the real democracy, never worked in that part of India. The rulers, all of them who have ruled, or the chief ministers who have been there, have all been placed by the Indian government there without having any democratic will of the people. There have been elections which have been all rigged. So from time on, time off, there have been different rulers placed by the India in Kashmir. But from 1987, there was an election held in 1987, and some people who were winning the election didn't suit the Indian government, so they placed them behind the bars, didn't let them rule the region, and they placed their own politicians. And following that 1987 election, there was an armed struggle which was started in 1989 by the people of Jammu and Kashmir to get their own right to self-determination, which has been promised to them by United Nations in 1947, soon after the India and Pakistan were divided, but was never held since. So following the armed resistance in 1989, people soon realized that they're not going to achieve their goals with the armed struggle. So they just gave up the arms, laid down their arms, and held talks with India. And they were promised that all their demands would be met without having any armed conflict. But since then, there has been no movement on the ground, and people have been trapped. And currently, what Indian government has done is they have revoked one of the important articles in their constitution, which is called Article 370. This was the only way that India was able to rule the region of Jammu and Kashmir. It was a constitutional provision in the Indian constitution, which was promised to the state of Jammu and Kashmir by the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru. And according to it, India could only make laws or rule the state once the rules and the laws were accepted by the parliament type of thing, which is called the State Legislative Assembly in the Jammu and Kashmir. But recently, India, without having any consent from the people of Jammu and Kashmir or from the state government, revoked this article, which means that India can directly rule the state of Jammu and Kashmir without having any say from the people or the government in the Jammu and Kashmir.
And to enforce that, they have gone onto the streets, there has been violence, there has been people reacting to that, and there has been this clampdown on protests. Tell me about your family and your worries.
Yeah, this all started on the 4th of August when the Indian government started to say that there is going to be a big terrorist attack in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So what they did, they removed all the Indian students or all the tourists which were from the mainland India. They were all evacuated from the state of Jammu and Kashmir. On the 5th of August in the morning, in Indian Parliament came up the rule that this Article 370 has been revoked, and people of Jammu and Kashmir were placed in the lockdown. There was a total curfew in the whole region, and which is still there for last 4 weeks. There has been no communication lines. All the telephone lines, all the internet, all the landlines have been shattered. There's no communication at all. There's a communication blackout in the state, and strict curfew in place. People not allowed to come out the roads because the fear is that majority of the people will resent this decision, and there are fears that there might be large-scale protests. So India has placed a curfew there. People are not allowed to come. I have my parents there. Everybody, there are lots of people from Kashmir who are living in Ireland. They have all their parents in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. They haven't been able to communicate with them for the last 4 weeks. No communication at all. And we don't know, my father is an elderly gentleman. He's a 70-year-old gentleman. He is diabetic. He needs his medication. He needs his insulin. I have no knowledge how can he manage that all when he has been placed in a curfew, and I can't communicate with him. Even all the medication, even the daily items of living like food and all. How can he manage for 4 weeks being trapped in his house? I don't know how are they surviving, and I'm not sure are they alive or what is happening.
So your father effectively could be dead?
Oh, it could be, and I'll give you an example. I had one of my uncles, he's my wife's father's brother. My wife's father is here currently, he travelled with us into the island. But his brother, who was a 65-year-old gentleman, fit and healthy gentleman, was living in the same territory, was trapped in his house from the 5th of August, and has unfortunately died for some simple respiratory reasons on the 10th of August. And it's strange that in this age, we came to know here in Ireland only on the 16th of August, and that when somebody was leaving the state of Jammu and Kashmir and he could text us by an SMS from the other state of India called New Delhi.
So they literally have shut down an entire country.
It is. Everything is shattered. There's no schools, there's no hospitals, there's no accessibility, there's no access to ambulance services, and there's no access for the pregnant ladies to travel up to the hospitals. It's been all shattered and all closed down. And I don't see any hope that it will get revoked soon.
How worried are you?
Oh, I'm really worried. As a normal person would be. I'm obviously worried about my parents. I'm worried about my loved ones. There have been lots of people who have been arrested. There have been almost 4,000 arrests, and even kids as small as 11 have been held in the jails. Some of them have been transferred to other states of other states of India. And doctors are struggling, and even if a doctor tries to raise the voice, one of the doctors recently, live on the BBC News, tried to protest against the plight of the patients, what are they facing there, and he was arrested within minutes by the Indian government and has been held since. There's no communication, there's no supplies to the hospitals, they're all short of supplies.
What would you like the Irish government to do? Well,
I would like the Irish government to talk to the Indian government and try to explain the plight of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. This curfew has to be lifted first of all, for us to call our loved ones just to make sure they are all okay. This is the first step that should happen. But in the long run, the people of Jammu and Kashmir have to be given the right to self-determination, which has promised to them by the United Nations Security Council.
And it's impossible for you to travel back there at present?
Oh, it is. My father-in-law, as I explained, who is currently here, he's very worried now that his brother has died, and he would surely like to travel back. But there's no way we can send him back in this situation. We can't communicate with us. He cannot communicate. How is he going to travel? It's very difficult for him.
And at present, the Indian government looks like it is very resolute in that it is not going to pull back.
Oh, it is. As recently there was a meeting between Donald Trump and the Prime Minister Modi of India, and all that was discussed was that the Prime Minister Modi said, I have it all under control. If the control means locking down 7 million people of the state, putting them inside their homes caged with no accessibility to any modes of communication, no accessibility to daily living items, and no accessibility to hospitals, then it is under control. But I don't know how long will the people tolerate this type of control. People are surely dying. The hospitals are not allowed to give any death certificates. You'll be surprised to hear. The doctors and the hospitals are not allowed to issue any death certificates. Even the deaths are not being registered, just to prove that there is no deaths due to the curfew.
It's a horrendous situation.
Horrendous
situation, Wahid. My heart goes out to you and to your wife.
Thank you.
And your family. Keep in touch.
Thank you.
And we'll see if we can get any reaction. We've been in touch with the Department of Foreign Affairs this morning to see what the official government policy is and if they're going to change that. So we'll let you know what the situation is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wahid.
Thanks, Damien. Thanks.
Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to Mulligan's. Did you know you can collect your Blue Club points online? See mulliganspharmacy.com.
Now, a number of people texting in to wish Wahid and his family the very best and hope they get sorted with that. Now, joining us live from the Four Courts, Pat O'Keefe. How are you, Pat?
Morning, how are things, Damien?
Good. Is there a hurricane on up there? There is.
Yeah, I'm just stepping in out of the wind now. There's a lot of traffic here and a lot of noise. But the farmers from who have been injuncted by Slaney Foods have travelled up this morning. I've just been talking to them. Some farmers have chosen to come, and other farmers have chosen to send legal representation, but are not going to be present themselves. But it's now, we think, at least 42 farmers, and maybe more, because fresh injunctions are being sought at all times. We know that there was an injunction posted up at one of the key pack plants this morning or last night, and that with 6 fresh farmers' names. That one is lasting until Tuesday, so it's a moving story. We do know that there has been some, I suppose, progress in the middle of all the antagonism between the two sides, where the Chinese delegation has been facilitated in care, and we know that there are arrangements being made to allow killing take place in the 2 plants in Waterford, Ferrybank, ABP and Dongrana today, and it happened in Rathdowney as well. So at least both sides are facilitating, they're putting the green jersey on where the Chinese delegation is concerned. Yeah,
people know, Pat, we were talking to you, Pat O'Toole, news correspondent with the Farmers Journal earlier in the week, and you've been covering this story extensively and intensively. Tell me, what's your feeling in terms of talking to those farmers outside the doors of the forecourts this morning? Are they worried? Do they have a look of resignation on their faces, or is there a kind of a steely determination?
Well, of course they're concerned. No one's going to go to the forecourts and not feel uncomfortable. But they believe that they have the right to make their case and to protest. They believe that they haven't been blockading. They believe that they want to hear what the terms of the injunction are. It was an ex parte injunction that was granted on Tuesday. That means only one side was, or on Wednesday in their case, that means only one side was represented. So with both sides being present here today, it'll be interesting to see what the judge wants to know of the farmers.
Yes.
And what he will request of them and what he will demand of them, and whether the farmers will feel they can comply with what the judge wants of them. That will be the hope, that there can be an understanding between the judge, the farmers and the processors against today. And I suppose the bigger question then is the hundreds of farmers who are on the gates today, while the dozens of farmers are being injuncted up here or hearing their injunctions today. What about the hundreds of farmers who have taken their place and are at the gates now?
We had a good interview with Aidan O'Whail yesterday, the courts correspondent up there, in terms of the nitty-gritty of injunctions and how difficult, in some respects, injunctions are to serve and to follow through. And effectively, the people looking to serve injunctions and to have them enforced have to prove that the injunction has been, not adhered to.
Yes.
And you have this sort of legal situation now developing, and that's going to happen today, and you'll be covering that today. And you could have this effective martyrdom of lads that'll say, well, yeah, I'm going to go back down there, and if I have to go to jail, I'll go to jail and make the stance. Or you'll have this very clever way of doing it that some lads will say, yeah, we're not going to go back on the picket line. But as you say, my cousin once removed is on the picket line, and you'll have to get him up. And this could be an ongoing situation.
Yeah, and I think that I don't think the farmers on the picket line and the farmers who believe that there is a campaign here for better prices and better conditions for farmers, I don't think they would want the people who are injuncted to put themselves in harm's way and to defy the court. I think that they would feel that there are over 100,000 farmers, and that it's up to farmers in turn to step up and show their support and solidarity. And of course, like the other side of this is, if farmers choose not to deliver their animals to the factories in support of this campaign, there's no need for anyone at the gates at any stage, because it's farmers who own the vast majority of the cattle. There is an issue in this country. The factories do own feedlots and have the capacity to supply their own animals if the farmers aren't willing to supply at the prices they offer. And that's something that's not allowed in other countries. It's not allowed in the UK, for instance. So that's something the farmers feel is just another problem that has to be addressed. But by and large, the the factories need the cattle from the farmers need the factories to buy the cattle, and at some point the two sides are going to have to dialogue.
Yeah, it's talk about Chinese whispers as well going on today if we talk about the Chinese, because the Chinese delegation's arriving and they effectively have to see, not to be blunt about it, they have to see killing going on for them to know that the processes that they're engaging with are up to their standards. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. That's as simple as that. And they're quite an important delegation. The Chinese market is an emerging market for Irish beef. It's in everyone's interest that market, that we gain as much of a foothold as possible in it. So both sides are working together on that. The timing is unfortunate, but it's also a reminder that as an industry, that farmers and processors need each other, and the good name and the good brand of Irish meat is dependent on both sides working with each other. And farmers feel that part of that cooperation has to be that the factories have to gain a viable price to hand back to the farmers. They're losing money at the moment on every animal they fatten and sell, and they're going out of business. And they say that they have to make this stand because they can't continue to absorb losses. Pat,
we'll let you go because I know the court is about to start. Listen, appreciate it. Good to talk to you again, and talk to you again soon, OK?
Take care.
Thanks very much. Pat O'Toole there with the Irish Farmers Journal news correspondent. As you heard, he's been covering this dispute for us, and I want to thank him very much for his excellent reporting on it. You heard Eoin Dalton as well reporting in the programme on our news bulletins regarding what's happening at present, and Pat confirmed that the protests, the pickets have been lifted this morning to allow the Chinese delegations to go in for the killing, the slaughtering to take place, and for the protest potentially then to resume in the afternoon. So we're in a very difficult situation regarding this dispute, because once the legal powers take hold, you then have potentially the enforcement of that, as we spoke with Aidan yesterday, where the Gardaí get involved. So you're going to have this idea of, I wasn't one of the people named in the injunction, it was that lad over there, or I wasn't, and you have all these problems going on. So it's still going to get very tricky, and then behind the scenes you have the potential for talks and whether they're going to happen or not. But at the minute, those involved in the dispute have very little faith in the meat industry of Ireland regarding that. Now, a lovely text in there from Joe, and basically she wants to say, Joe and Michael, Damien, could you please wish our neighbours Frank and Alex in Belvedere Manor getting married today fabulous, fabulous happiness. They're a fabulous couple. All our neighbours couldn't wish them the best. Lovely young couple. We wish them all very, very well. Damien, just wondering, will the Chinese inspectors have any effect on the Chinese takeaway deliveries in Waterford City tonight? I don't think so. I think the deliveries will still go on. We are going to be talking about leaving cert subjects and whether you should appeal any of your leaving cert grades, whether parents think it's worth it. Costs a few bob, obviously. And the figures for those that are making the appeals have rocketed.
Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to Mulligan's. Did you know you can collect your Blue Club points online? See mulliganspharmacy.com.
Welcome back to the programme. We're going to be talking to Katherine Donnelly in a second. She is the education editor with the Irish Independent. Another education matter we want people to comment about. That primary school in Wicklow, St Cronan's in Bray, has banned the use of smartphones. They did a survey. They said 92% of parents voted for the ban. Basically, your ordinary common or garden old style mobile phone for calls and texts will be allowed, but must be switched off at all times, and all smartphones are going to be banned. What do you think of that? Do you think that's a good idea? Also, we had Leona contacting us yesterday. She's hoping to homeschool a child and is wondering how to find someone in the Waterford area who would do this, as she doesn't feel she'd be suitably qualified herself. Is there a network association of people who homeschool, or would she have to try and find someone privately? Let us know what you think. Katherine Donnelly, good morning.
Good morning, Damien.
Katherine, just on that homeschooling thing, I've done a few stories in the past about homeschooling. Is there a homeschooling association, do you know?
I don't know, but there are certainly quite a number of families involved in it, and some do it because it's what they want to do, but others do it because it depends. You know what we've seen in the last few years, the growth in the number of parents who can't get a place for a child in school because of they can't get a place because the child might have special needs, and a lot of parents have taken a home tuition grant from the Department of Education as the only alternative to getting a place, as the only way of getting an education for the child. But that's one cohort. The other cohort are the parents who voluntarily do it. I'm not quite sure whether there's an association, but there's always a number of parents. There's a number of parents who just prefer that way of educating their children, but they have to sort of meet certain standards with the Department of Education.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, in terms of standards and in terms of Leaving Cert results, obviously you can appeal a Leaving Cert figure or a result that you get. I did it myself and didn't get anywhere with it. A record 9,049 students, 1 in 6 who sat the exams, have sought a recheck on one or more of the papers. That's up massively, 3/4 up from last year. Just explain to people that don't know, what is a recheck? How does it affect you potentially?
Well, as you know, the students get their results in the middle of August, and some will be very happy and some will be disappointed with the grade they got in one or more papers. They may be justifiably unhappy, or there may be no grounds for them being unhappy. And there's a process then they can view their scripts, and then they can see how the paper was marked, and that helps to inform them as to whether or not they feel an appeal would stand up, and then they can go through with an appeal. And what we see now is the figures we got this morning were the figures for the number of appeals lodged this year. Now, I'm sure all your listeners will remember, about this time last year, a student who had come through the Leaving Cert last year, a repeat student from County Wexford, appealed and felt she was going to be successful from what she had seen in her viewing. And then she learned that even if she was successful in her appeal, she mightn't get her place in UCD because UCD was closing the gate at the end of September, and the appeal results weren't due until October. So she took a High Court challenge and won it. And as a consequence of that, the High Court also said that the appeals process should be speeded up, which is what has happened this year. So there's been a lot of attention given to the appeals process this year, and the State Examinations Commission was alerting candidates as to that, about the changes. So that's certainly heightened awareness about the whole appeals system. So that would be one of the reasons I think we have seen an increase in appeals this year. Now, what a student would hope to gain from it is, obviously, if somebody is disappointed with the result, it may be because they've been left a few points short for their desired college place. And if they have been disappointed, and if they win their appeal for one or more subjects, they may then get extra points. Well, they will. If they win an appeal, there's a good chance that they will get extra points. But will it be enough for them to reach the cut-off for their college place? That's a second step. But I have to say, every year about 300 students do get a late college offer as a result of appeals. That's based on the patterns that we have traditionally seen. But now this year, those numbers have doubled. So it'd be interesting to see what number of what the success rate should be, and then what number of new college offers will emerge.
Yeah,
we're in uncharted territory.
We are, because the percentage has held fairly steady over the years in terms of those that are successful with appeals. Like, it's very, very small, and whether that percentage success rate will increase with this increased numbers, or whether that percentage will stay the same.
Well, we don't know. What happened this year is that, apart from the heightened awareness about the whole appeals process, there was greater transparency around the system. So, for instance, on the day after they got the results, the students were able to see how they were marked for components such as an oral or a practical. Now, they'd never had that information before. So then they were able to see, okay, I did well in the oral, so I've gone down in the written paper, or vice versa. So they had a lot more information about where they got different marks on papers where there were multiple components, as I say, where there was a practical or an oral. So there was a lot more transparency. So they were in a better position to judge whether or not they felt they had been unfairly treated. Now, whether that stands up or not, we don't know. We have to wait and see the outcomes. The other thing, another big change this year was that six papers were marked online, and students were able to view those scripts online, so they didn't have to go into the school to do that. They were able to view them online, which may have been easier for some. And also, if they wanted a teacher to look at the paper as well, there was a possibility for the teacher to view it online. Maybe the teacher was on holidays and wasn't in a position to come into the school with the student. So that may have led to more just more viewings and overall more information about how the students were marked. But how it will translate into upgrades, we don't know. But given that the numbers have almost doubled, even if the rate stays the same, it would suggest that the success rate stays the same. It suggests that there will be a lot more upgrades. If the patterns follow the actual applications, it suggests that there will be more upgrades, and falling from that, then more college offers perhaps at the end of September.
And more than likely the upgrades, like if you get a maths subject, a maths question wrong, you get a maths question wrong. Like they do give you points for trying things in certain ways, but more than likely any upgrades can happen in, I suppose, the likes of history, English and those broader subjects. Isn't that right?
There are subjects where the students are more likely to appeal or
yes.
not. I suppose the thing about maths is, you look at the paper and your teacher comes with you to look at the paper and you can kind of say, yeah, I was right or I was wrong. And if something, so if somebody didn't get, if a student didn't get marks for something that was clear, that was obviously right, well then that's easy enough to rectify. But if it's something like, an Irish essay, and if the student missed the point of the Irish essay and maybe they just, maybe they were asked to sort of reflect on some, certain developments, and if they just delivered, sort of a rote answer where they threw out everything they knew about a particular subject but missed the point of the question and got very poor marks for that, they may not succeed in they might look at the results and say, well, I was surely entitled to something because I showed a command of the language or whatever. But if they miss the point of the question, the State Exams Commission would still be entitled to mark them down. Yes, so it's an interesting year, Damien, and it's been interesting to see how it evolves. The other point that's probably important to make is as I told you, this all came about as a result of the Rebecca Carter case last year. So the High Court Judge Richard Humphrey said, last September that the appeals process should be speeded up, and it has been. But 6 of the 7 universities have confirmed to me a couple of weeks ago that in certain cases they may still not be able to accommodate a student who gets an upgrade. Which will cause surprise to some students. If it's a course like arts or commerce where, you pick lecture halls, there's no particular problem about admitting another student. But if it's the ones where they face difficulties, the universities are the ones like, say, medicine or veterinary, which was the subject of the Rebecca Carter case, and where they have a limited number of positions, if you like, where there's a lot of maybe clinical work and clinical placements. And they're still saying that they can't necessarily guarantee that students who get an upgrade and get a place as a result of the upgrade are guaranteed their place in college.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit to play out on this yet.
Absolutely, yeah, there is. Katherine Donnelly, thank you so much again, as ever. Good to talk to you, and mind yourself, okay? A busy time for you. Thanks, Katherine. Katherine Donnelly, Education Editor with the Irish Independent.
Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to mulliganspharmacy.com. Life's a beach with Mulligan's Pharmacies. Open late on the Dunmore Road and in Tramore.
Now, some breaking news. A number of Fine Gael members have received information and confirmation last night from the General Secretary of the party that some bullying allegations have not been proven, and no way can they be construed as bullying in any way. A number of people will be talking about that next week because the Fine Gael number of parliamentary people are going to be down in Waterford, and there's going to be a meeting locally as well. So I believe there's some people in the Fine Gael party locally who are very happy that any allegations against them have caused them a lot of stress and anxiety, and basically their name is going to be cleared. We'll have more on that as it develops. Now, Niamh Fitzpatrick, sister of Dara, one of the 4 crew members of Rescue 116 who tragically lost their lives at Blacksod in County Mayo in March the 14th, 2017. Hard to believe, it's nearly 2.5 years already. Now, the Dara Fitzpatrick Memorial Run takes place on September the 14th at Waterford Airport, and you may know that Niamh is a sister of Dara.
Good morning, Damien.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Niamh, the Dara Fitzpatrick Memorial Run is taking place on September the 14th at Waterford Airport. It's been a successful event, hasn't it?
Yeah, this will be the third year of the run. Dara died in March 2017, so obviously that will be 3 years next March. And four of her friends arranged that run for the very first year. And there's something about it. I think really the atmosphere is lovely. It's a really warm, friendly kind of atmosphere. It's an unusual run for people to be able to do. You know, you run out from the back at the airport and end up taking some of the 5K out onto the actual runway on the airport. Very good of Waterford Airport to let them do that now. But it makes it a really unusual run for runners. And I also think, you know, we like the idea that people can pay their entry fee and then they can run. That gives them a finisher's medal, and it gives them, I suppose, an experience that's different, a unique sort of event. But they don't have to go out and fundraise. And because of that entry fee, we will have each year two charities benefit from the money sort of funded. So I think it's a nice event. It's an easy event for somebody to do. It's slightly different, and you know, obviously it remembers Dara in the end of Cut 2.
How are you? How are the family?
We are doing okay. I will be honest and say this second year was much harder. I think the anniversary 2 hit everybody much more than anniversary 1, and I think what happens is you sort of become numb that first year. You're in shock really, and I think that wears off. But certainly as a family, we want to be okay. We want to live for Dara. We want to raise her son, and so the sort of atmosphere within our family is very much one of we have our lives and our lives and Dara doesn't, and we need to go out and live those lives. So I think when you have that approach, grief is tough beyond measure, but I think when you have that approach, somehow it helps you a little bit put one foot in front of the other and keep going in life, which is what you need to do.
And your profession, you talk about how people overcome grief, how they deal with grief, and to experience that on a personal level and to try and put into practice what you are learning about and what you've learned. Have you found that a strange process?
That's one way of putting it. You think you can know so much in theory, but it's only when you're standing in those shoes and you're feeling those feelings. Grief is so overwhelming. So it's not just about sadness. It's not just about tears. I actually wouldn't see it that it's something that you overcome. I think grief is something that you live with. You have this love for this person who died, and you know, what do you do with that love now that they're not here? Where does it go? What do you do with it? And it's all the feelings around that. So grief can be, it's obviously sorrow, but it can be anger, sort of frustration, bewilderment, confusion, loneliness, a range of emotions. And so for me, experiencing that as a person, Dara was my sister for 45 years, so it's quite an overwhelming range of emotions over the last couple of years, but experiencing it as a person, not just observing it as a professional, has been, to use your expression, strange, all right.
Are you still angry?
You get angry. I do get angry sometimes. I don't hold on to it, absolutely not. I think the trick with emotions is to lean into them, to feel them. Often what we do as humans is we move towards pleasure and away from pain. So when we experience emotions that are unpleasant, such as maybe anger, often what we can do is we try and deny it or duck out of it or put our head in the sand. But actually, it's important to lean into those emotions, to feel them, and that allows us to go through them and move through them because they're important. So for me, that's probably how I deal with the anger around this. And I don't sit in it, I don't stay in it, I'm not stuck in it. But there are times maybe when we're together as a family, all of us, and Dara's just not there. You know, it's the old saying, it's the empty chair. That's for me when the moments of anger would come back, and there's just this fury that she's not here and left us far too soon.
And with that in mind and what you've just touched on there, can we sometimes overthink grief?
Yeah, I think what happens with grief is that because it's so unpleasant for those going through it. And unpleasant is a magnificent understatement of a word that I've used there, but it is so unpleasant for those that's going through it, and it's so unpleasant often for those around us, that I think we try to, ourselves and other people try to fix it or make it better or make us better or make you feel better. And I absolutely think we often overthink it and try too hard, whereas what we need to do is to just accept that when you love somebody and they die, what else are you going to feel with that loss but grief? And so it's about, as I said, leaning into it. It's about feeling the emotions. It's about facing the hard truth. And rather than thinking about it too much or, as I said, trying to fix yourself, because we're not broken when we're grieving. You feel like you're broken, and in some ways you're broken, but it's a natural process when you love somebody. And that's, I suppose, the other thing is, sometimes people would say to me, oh, you loved your sister really a lot, didn't you? You loved her very much. And I'd say, I didn't love her in the past. I love her. I still love her. She's just not here. So I think when you can understand grief a little bit, you don't overthink it. You just allow yourself to go with whatever you feel. And it doesn't make it easier, but I think possibly it doesn't make it harder. You know, it allows you to just find your way through it. That's my experience anyway.
And what do you believe happens after death?
Do you mean to the person who has died?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm raised Catholic, and I would probably, to be honest with you, I believe I will see Dara again. There will be a lot of people listening to this will maybe roll their eyes up to heaven and think that's crazy. But I do believe that I will see her again. I also believe that there's a poem I read once, and one of the lines in it is, I hear your voice in the wind today. And that idea that, you know, I can see her, I don't mean physically see her, but I see her presence in different things in different places where maybe we might have been together. So for me, when somebody dies, they're physically gone from this earth, but she's not gone from my heart and she's not gone from my head. So wherever I am in life, somewhere Dara is with me in some little ways. But I do believe I'm going to see her again. And I think, I don't know if this is right, but I think maybe the idea of not seeing her again is just so utterly awful that I can't contemplate it. So maybe that's why I believe it, or I don't know. You caught me a little bit off guard with that question, Damien, so I hope I'm making some sense and not rambling.
No, you are making sense, because that not knowing, that agnosticism, doesn't mean a failing in any way. It means a realisation, I suppose, that there are some things that we just, obviously, because of our physical nature, we don't know what happens afterwards. And the thoughts that come into our minds when we're alive will formulate maybe what we hope is going to happen. And it may well be true. We just don't know.
What you said there just makes complete sense to me now. That really resonates. And I think that word that you used is a really vital one, and that's the word of hope. We need to have some sense of hope, I think, and I suppose especially in our situation, in any death, but in our situation, I know that I literally went to bed on Monday the 13th of March, and I had 4 siblings, and I woke up and one was missing, and within 6 hours I found out that sister had died. So we had no notice, there was no illness, there was no time to prepare. There was no time to say goodbye, that part is just utterly awful. And I think that sense of hope and needing to have that hope that one day you might see her again, maybe that's something that actually keeps me going. And I'm okay with that.
Niamh, thanks for talking to us. Say hello to the rest of the family from me, and we'll talk to you soon.
Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to mulliganspharmacy.com. Life's a beach with Mulligan's Pharmacies. Open late on the Dunmore Road and in Tramore.
Now, coming up in the second part of the show, we're going to be talking to John Kenny and his new play that is on at the Theatre Royal tomorrow night, Saturday night, called The Crowman. John Kenny, a lot of you would know from a very, very famous duo of comedians from Tipperary, and we've a pair of tickets to give away for The Crowman tomorrow night. So all you have to do is text us in the name of the duo that John Kenny and Pat took part in. Text us in the name 083 3333 975 083 3333 975, or you can all call 051 846 123. Regarding appealing subjects, speaking from my daughter years ago, I was told that appealing a subject will be left the same. They won't increase the points. That is from Monica in Ferrybank. Damien, why doesn't the Department of Education give grants for extra grinds after school? For I have a girl doing the Leaving Cert, and maths is the problem to get them over the line. We'll have a lot more of your texts and comments after the news at 11 with Julie. Julie?
Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to mulliganspharmacy.com. Life's a beach with Mulligan's Pharmacies. Open late on the Dunmore Road and in Tramore.
Now, keep your texts and your comments coming in, and if you want to text in that one word, the name of the little group, the comedian group that John Kenny was involved in for many years from Tipperary, text it into 083 3333 975, or you can call 051 846 123. Brian has texted in, well done Niamh, always inspirational to listen to. Dara was an amazing person, a true hero. Great interview, Damien. Thank you very much for that, Brian. And you can find out details on the Dara Fitzpatrick Memorial Run, dfrun.ie, and also if you go onto the website and to Facebook, you'll find out there. Also, anybody who's any students applying to WIT, just make sure you check out WLR's news feed from yesterday evening and also the WIT webpage. New part-time and full-time students from a socio-economically disadvantaged background and meet eligibility criteria are invited to apply for the 1916 bursary. So today is actually the closing date for expressions of interest in the scholarship. There's 35 bursaries available, and I think they're worth €5,000 each. So make sure you check out that. Also, a lovely thing happening in On Rhine tomorrow at La Huirtaréishe Hucht to the Huirtaréishe Ní, and it's been organised by Catherine Foley. She's going to be reading from her book Ag Maru Macrail, and anybody around the Ring area, please go along to that tomorrow night. It's also the night will change direction and celebrations will take place to mark 50 years since Tigan Ceol, created by Tomás O'Callagher and his wife Anne Mulqueen, both of whom will be present, remembering, singing and having a great time tomorrow night. So that promises to be a great night in On Rhine tomorrow evening. A texter in, Damien, regarding death and dying, the one thing I regret after my mother dying is not saying to her how much I loved her, but I'm sure she knew. My son went back to New Zealand a while back. We sat in the car in silence outside the airport. When he got out to go, suddenly out of nowhere, I told him I loved him and for him to look after himself. Very important and lovely message there on that. Now, there's a happy event happening tomorrow, really interesting event happening tomorrow in Mount Sion. Waterford Legends are hosting the Wexford team of 1996. In a minute, I am going to be talking to two Gardaí who are involved in this charity event. It's a fabulous charity. Talking to Pat Sinnott and to Deirdre O'Neill. Firstly, Jim Green, who was involved in management of Waterford hurling teams during the 1990s, he is speaking with Martin Storey, and they're on, Matt Keane interviewed them. The full interview will be on the programme tomorrow, on our sports programme with Gavin. And here's a little bit of what Jim and Martin had to say about the great times that were the 90s in hurling in Waterford and Wexford.
Will you have the Coke and the chocolate bars ready for Martin? A special stock there, Jim? On
Lucas said energy and all sorts of pills. And,
a can of Coke.
Yeah. I had one player who's actually is having a little bit of surgery today, and he was trying to cancel it. Genuinely trying to put this back. He didn't want to miss because he won't be able to play now. He'll be there, but he won't be able to play.
That's a big setback to your plans, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a bigger setback to his plans. You know? But it's that type of thing. Like them players, them fellas, when they get back together, they have a ball. Like, you know.
Martin, you're all coming down on a bus. It's kind of a jolly boys out for you as well as everything else, is it?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if we're coming on a bus or we're all going ourselves, but like it's just like, I mean, it's something that we're really, really looking forward to. And I mean, it's so long since we hurled and stuff too. Like, you know, that's the other big bonus. We're getting an old game out of this, you know.
Absolutely,
and I mean,
yeah.
not to be laughing at that, but that is the bonus. I mean, that you're actually getting a game against the Waterford lads. And I know it'll be non-competitive, but no one will want to let themselves down. Jim will tell you that when you get out there. Nobody will ever, no matter what age you are, once you've played at a good level, you'll never want to let yourself down.
Good morning, folks. How are we doing?
Good, great. Good.
Deirdre, Pa, how's it going?
Not too bad, and yourself?
Good. Pa's in it. Sergeant Deirdre O'Kane?
O'Neill.
I was going to joke you there. Oh, Deirdre O'Kane, the famous Deirdre O'Kane.
I wish, yeah.
You're based out in Kilmac. Pa, you're based here in town?
Yeah, here in Waterford, Ballybricken.
Very good. And you just passed out in September, so you're a new recruit.
That's right, yeah, 7th of September last year.
And that's a Wexford accent.
It surely is, in Scorty, yeah.
How are you getting on the guards?
Grand, yeah, loving it so far. I suppose the college really doesn't prepare you for the real life situations, but yeah, loving it so far.
And you were telling me, in passing out in the parade last September, there was somebody involved in this Little Heroes group.
There was indeed, yeah. As I said, I passed out the 7th of September last year, and there was a girl actually in my phase whose brother is still involved in the Little Blue Heroes. And I suppose he was there on the day and seeing what it meant to him and his family. I suppose from there I knew I wanted to do something for the charity, but at the time I didn't know what.
I'd never heard of the charity. Deirdre, what is the Little Blue Heroes? Is that what it's called?
Little Blue Heroes, yes. It was established in 2017 by members of An Garda Síochána who recognised a need for it from visiting different families within communities. They felt that they could do something. They could nominate these families for a bit of assistance. So it sparked from then, and it has really gathered huge momentum in our organisation, because I think we can all associate with that desire to be a member of An Garda Síochána, and this is one of the things that we allow the Little Blue Heroes to do. We make them a Garda for a day, they become attested, they met the Commissioner. So it's great from that perspective. It gives the kids a lift, but also financially there's a support there for those families who need it.
And how do families apply to it? Do they have to be suffering physically or...?
Yeah, it's for serious illnesses, so that's as much as the categorisation is. So, any member of An Garda Síochána
it can be very broad, so it means that there's great variety there, I presume, in the days.
So, there's a great variety within the Little Blue Heroes. A few of the kids we have coming on at the weekend are big GAA supporters, so, it'll be great for them to be involved in this particular event.
You had the experience, I suppose, being touched by the Little Blue Hero kind of phenomenon as it is, Pa, and you sort of said to yourself, let's see what we can do about this. Where did you come up with the idea for a Legends match?
So the idea actually started, myself and my daughter Annie went to go see Wexford play Limerick in the league in Wexford Park, and of course on the way home the chat turned to hurling, and she was going on about how well they did and how well they played. And I started talking about the team that I would have watched when I was her age. So this would have been this Legends team of 96.
And how old are you now yourself, just in case lads think you're only 17?
I'm 37.
Okay, so
thanks very much for pointing that out, Damien.
A late starter.
A
carpenter by trade.
That's correct, yeah.
Why did you go for the guards?
Something I always wanted to do, but I suppose with the boom that was here, there was plenty of work, and with the downturn then, I decided for a career change, so I decided to go for the guards. Fair
play to you. So you're talking in the car, you're talking about 96, you're talking about the Legends.
That's right, yeah, and so it sort of just spanned from there, really. I contacted actually the guy who made the hurls for the Wexford team back then, and he supplied me with all the numbers for the guys in Waterford.
What was his name?
What's his name? Brian Welch. Hurley's in Scorty, so he gave me all their numbers. I rang them all individually, and with each call, same answer, just let me know when and where, and every single one of them were in. Even Liam Griffin is coming back for the day to manage the Wexford team.
And how did you work it out then, Deirdre, in terms of pulling all the different ingredients together to make this happen?
Well, I have to say, Pa has done a huge amount of the work. It's one of the projects that Probation or Gardaí have to do is a community engagement project, and Pa has taken this to the nth degree. He's combining 2 counties and also 2 eras. So he's done a massive amount of the work himself. And in fairness, most of the people we approached were 100% on board straight away, because it is a great charity and And I suppose maybe when the guards are asking you to give a dig out, it might be easier to say yes. So. And it's
a charity that's only started, as you say, 2 years ago?
2017, that's right.
So that's great.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of events. They have a great Facebook page which gives a huge amount of updates, loads of really great photos, and then it gives you an idea of what events are on around the country. So yeah, it's worth tipping into that.
So then you had to get the Waterford connection going. You had to talk to Jim Green, and we played a clip of Jim Green there now and the crack. And the Waterford side, again, no problems getting lads out?
No problem. Jim actually came into the station to meet me, and within 2 days he rang me and said everything is sorted. So he had 23 Waterford players ready to go within 2 days. So Jim is the man to get the work done.
And there's a full extensive interview with Jim and Martin Storey on Matt Keane's show on tomorrow morning. The characters they talk about in those days, and obviously in the Wexford setup, you'd know a lot better than most. Some amazing characters there.
Oh, some big characters. So there is. I actually set up a WhatsApp group between the two teams. It was kind of the biggest mistake I ever made, because the phone doesn't stop pinging, but the crack they have between each other is great. But you really see from it that it's not just a team, it's a group of friends, really.
And let's go through some of the names. Damien Fitzhenry, Sean Flood, Ger Cush, John O'Connor, Rod Guiney, Liam Dunn, Declan Ruth, Larry O'Gorman, Adrian Fenlon, Rory McCarthy, Martin Storey, Liam Murphy, Tom Dempsey, Gary Laffin, Eamon Scallon. That wasn't a bad old team.
No, it really reminds you of Dancing at the Crossroads there.
It certainly does, yeah.
Hold yourself back from singing it, I think.
And on the Waterford side, Deirdre, we've got Brendan Landers, Mark O'Sullivan, Sean Cullinan is playing, Brian Flannery, Stephen Frampton, Fergal Hartley, Brian Green, Tony Brown, Peter Queally, Dave Bennett, Dan Shanahan. Dan's still going.
I know. So I'm tipping Waterford for this one now.
Johnny Brenner, Billy O'Sullivan, Sean Growler Daly, John Meany. You're tipping Waterford, are you, Deirdre?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to. So there's a big Wexford influence here now, so I'm going to go for Waterford.
Where are you from yourself?
Dublin originally, but in Waterford a long number of years now. So
very good. Tell us about the event. It's taking place this Saturday, tomorrow, and it's in
Mount Sion GA grounds.
Yep.
So it's all kicking off at 5 o'clock. So we have both teams then arriving on the field. We have Little Blue Heroes then. Both teams are going to form a guard of honour for Little Blue Heroes to come out to the red carpet, and we're going to have a number of dignitaries there. We have the Mayoress of Waterford coming, we have the chairperson of Wexford County Council coming down, and hopefully on the day we'll have the Garda Commissioner there. He's been invited but yet to confirm if he's in a position to come.
Yeah. And the weather's looking a little bit cloudy. Hopefully it should be a nice day, but it should be a great crowd. Obviously all the money raised is going to the charity, so it's a tenner in, and under 16s go free.
Under 16s are free, yeah. And also we'd just like to say thanks to Mount Sion GAA, who've been fantastic in helping us to put this event on. You know, volunteering stewards, parking, the whole lot. So they've been great.
They're an amazing club when something like this or anything like that, for coming together. That community atmosphere they have up there is great, you know.
Absolutely.
Really,
Nothing
really
was
good.
too much for them now, to be honest.
So who's reffing it, I wonder? Brian Cody, you know?
Well, John O'Rourke is actually refereeing it. He's a Wexford referee, but he'll be non-biased on the day. So he will. We also have actually an under-12 game.
He'll be arrested by the time the day is over.
He could be. But actually the Mount Sion girls, our under-12 team, are actually taking on Marshallstown from Wexford as well at half-time as a mini-game.
Excellent.
So to give the lads a little bit of a break. Not that they'll need it or anything, but...
Will there be rolling subs?
I think so, yeah. I think the 5 sub rule...
people will be pulled in from the crowd now at this stage to assist.
Yeah, I don't think the 5 sub rule will apply here. I think it's sort of go and come as you please, I think.
It's a great idea, as you say. Waterford legends versus Wexford legends. Teams around the 90s, the 96 team. Taking place in Mount Sion. Throw-in is at...
It's all kicking off at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. this Saturday.
It's open at 4 p.m, so there'll be a bit of music beforehand and there's live music afterwards.
Lovely. And obviously there's a bit of parking space up in Mount Sion, but obviously for people to get there as early as possible.
As early as possible. The parking is free, so we would encourage people to park in Mount Sion. The stewards are there to assist. There's a good, ample parking up there, so we'd ask people not to park on the adjoining roads, as it is a residential area.
And if people want to know more about Little Blue Heroes, there's a Facebook page, there's a website.
Absolutely, yeah, Facebook and a website. And the Wexford Waterford charity match is on Facebook as well, so you can get all your details there too.
Lovely. Pat, thanks very much for coming in.
Pleasure.
Deirdre, thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks very much, Damien.
And the very best of luck to you.
Thanks, Damien.
And good luck with your career.
Thank you.
And Deirdre, continued success, Sergeant, with your career.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, folks. Lovely to talk to you. Now you can stop texting in regarding the competition. John Kenny was a member of Dunbelievables, and we will be announcing the winner in a second. We're also going to be talking to John Kenny in a few minutes, and we're going to be talking to Katrina English. Good morning, Katrina.
Morning, Damien.
We'll talk to you about this lovely remembrance evening that's going to take place this Sunday.
Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to Mulligan's. Did you know you can collect your Blue Club points online? See mulliganspharmacy.com.
Now, the winner of our 2 tickets for John Kenny's show Crowman tomorrow night in Theatre Royal. There's still tickets available. The winner is Linda Collins from Leamy Street. Well done, Linda. You are the winner for that. So we'll be in touch with you, and bring ID with you tomorrow in case anybody else is trying to get your tickets before you. So John Kenny, the Crowman. Do you like John Kenny, Katrina?
I do.
He's brilliant, isn't he? We're going to have him on air now in a few minutes. Katrina English, you're from the Manon Nadesha, the women's group in Waterford. There's a special remembrance evening on this Sunday at 5 o'clock. Tell us about it.
This started last year. It was actually originally set up by a guy called Will Hamilton. He's living up the country. He set up, it was due to the Pope's visit last year. So I'd say you remember the big outcry. People were not too happy with this. So he set up this event, and it went nationally in every county in Ireland. So we did it here. Now it went international. It went as far as Poland and Germany and all over Europe as well. So on the same day, approximately every year, we're going to do this, and we had a huge response to it last year.
And what is it? This is at the grounds of the Good Shepherd.
Yeah, it's just to signify the Magdalene laundries. So they're scattered all over the country. So ours is here in the Good Shepherds, and we have loads of local people that still have memories of this building, and relatives, and they don't have their own stories to tell.
And what you did last year was you tied small baby shoes on site in memory of all those who've been through the laundries. And you also had poetry, and as you say, a lot of people will have memories, good and bad.
Yeah. It was a huge effect. The baby shows was just that the significance of it hanging on the building was very emotional. We had loads of shows, and we were very grateful to the people that are still working that building. Didn't take the shoes down, they left them. Even though I heard that they were told to take them down, they left them there. So it was great for people, anyone passing, they saw the visual effect.
Yeah, we've been talking to some nuns that worked in the Magdalene laundries and the Good Shepherds, and like they would say, well, they were trying their best at the time, but obviously the children that were in there, some of them had very bad experiences.
Yeah, there's more horror stories than good stories. I don't know. I haven't heard a good one now myself, but I suppose it was a sign of the times. People just accepted that's the way it was, and that's the kind of the power the church had, you know.
What's going to take place on Sunday at 5 o'clock? What are you planning?
We have people that are going to speak. We have more people coming that have experiences from there and their own experiences of what happened, and they will speak. We'll have music and poetry, and just it's a Remembrance Day. It's not a protest.
Not a protest in any way. A Remembrance Day.
Respect,
respectful, and it's open to everybody.
Everyone anyone that wants to come along and pay their respects. And
very good. The Manon Nadesha, the women's group, quite a small group, but you're quite active in women's issues. Do you get any funding at all?
No, we don't. We're totally voluntary. There's 3 of us here now, and we used to have 5, 2 due to left to work related stuff they hadn't time to put in, but that's okay. No, there's 3 of us. We're just voluntary. We work, we have families, we just do it because there's a need for it.
And have you any fundraisers coming up?
We do. We have one the end of September in Goma Gallery here in Waterford. They're very good to give us the building, so keep an eye on the page, and we'll keep you in tune with what's going to happen.
The website page.
Yeah.
Katrina English, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Damien.
Very appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. And joining us on the line now is the man I mentioned just a minute ago. One of Katrina's a big fan of his. John Kenny. How are you, John?
Fine, Damien. Very good, thank you. Great.
Good. John, tell us, you're in the Déise tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Your show is called Crowman. Tell me a bit about Crowman, please.
Crowman it's a nice tale, a simple tale, a very ordinary tale in some ways, about just a very ordinary person, like most people in life is. And it's a very simple story, but I think it's just about Dan. People find out about Dan and they get into his life for a little while. They go on a journey with him, and I suppose he lives on his own. He's a man who's in his mid-50s, and it's about his community and where he lives, and it's about his life, I suppose. And But, things unfold during the course of it. He's a man that's full of humour because he lives on his own. He kind of entertains himself. One could say he's kind of a little bit withdrawn, maybe shy. Probably suffers from anxiety, I would say, And but it doesn't stop him doing things in life, and he's a smart guy. And just things unfold during the course of the play that are both sort of poignant and humorous, and it's an insight into just a very ordinary person, but it's a very touching piece of writing, because it's simplicity and the simplicity of the storyline. I'm amazed myself the effect that it's having on people, I mean that really sincerely. So it's very hard to describe it. I know I'm stuck in the middle of it. But it has everything. It really has everything as a piece of writing. And I think the most important thing is that people really relate to it. It does everything to them. It moves them. It makes them laugh. It makes them cry. It just has everything inside it.
Is it one of the pieces of work that you're most proud of?
Well, I found the piece. I didn't find the piece of work. The piece of work was kind of written from in mind by Katie Holly, a friend of mine, and I suppose, you start working on a piece and you kind of start up at one point, but you suddenly end up not where you think you end up because the thing develops a life of its own, and I suppose that's the lovely thing about being able to work on a piece, in the creative sense that, it's taken us on a bit of a journey, you know what I mean? And, it's been reshaped and remoulded and sat back and thought about, and it's developed its own thing. It's as if like Dan himself has won out here, the character has won out. Whereas we've ended up taking stuff out of the play that says that maybe that's not really important here because what's really important is this guy, And that's what people were reacting to. They were just reacting to the humanity of a simple story, I suppose, of maybe someone who loses someone who felt that someone had really appreciated them in their lives, the simple story of being felt needed or something or wanted, and it's very uplifting, it's a lovely piece, But it is, I'm delighted to be doing it at all time, absolutely, for sure.
Because you can't have, again, it goes back to, I suppose, the tradition of theatre, tragicomedy, and you can't have tragedy on the stage without having humour as well. That's
oh no, yeah,
and that combination is so vital, isn't it?
It is absolutely. It does, but we do it ourselves naturally. I think that's the great thing about things. There's so much. It's so natural because in our darkest hours we look for humour. We look for something to laugh at. We look for the funny side of things to give us a lift. To get those old whatever hormones kick into gear when we are enjoying ourselves. Whatever part of the brain starts to work, and that's all in that show. It's just it's amazingly funny. It's a bit of a roller coaster for an audience, but the most important thing is, I suppose, it's just been getting an amazing reaction. I mean, it's kind of amazing me the reaction it's getting actually, and talking to people, it's just the humanity of it, and they recognise everyone. They recognise Dan. They recognise all the characters, and they go, Christ, I know that scene. I was there. That's what she did there. You didn't need anything. I was there. I saw it all. I've been there before,
Yeah.
And it's kind of lovely thing when that happens,
I know the ticket sales have been very good. There's still a few tickets available at the Theatre Royal, so go onto the website Theatre Royal and you can get tickets, maybe the last few tickets on the night. I know it's nearly a sellout. I'd probably, from what you're saying, is you probably encourage people, especially from South Kilkenny or Kilkenny area, to go in because they've had to endure a lot of hardship and horror and tears over the last few weeks, haven't they?
I don't know, will you stop? Well, maybe that's why I'm doing it as well, because I'm Limerick. So we should all be weeping a little bit, but
I know.
We're not looking high. It's the great. We're fine. We'll survive it all, won't we? But we do survive these things. We get by,
Yeah, well, your former colleague Pat, obviously, he was pushing out the coffin with the Kilkenny jersey on top of it, and from a Limerick perspective. Who would you be cheering for now? Because the I won't say hatred, but the dislike of Tipperary now would be fairly high from a Limerick perspective, and then there wouldn't be a great draw with the old Kilkenny lads either.
I don't know. Look, I think when it comes to that, and you're being a neutral, and you have to be kind of some bit, you have to be realistic about these things. And I think most sports players, guys that stood in that pitch, fans can get very excited at times, but I think most lads playing love the game, and you can see that.
Yeah.
And, the best team wins on the day, and I think anyone that stands on the pitch, the supporters probably sometimes are the worst people to be listening to. If you could talk to the players, and they would probably tell you the same. They have the utmost respect for one another, and I don't think any athlete would sort of begrudge any other athlete a chance to succeed, because they all want to succeed, and whoever wins out, wins out.
Yeah, I have to ask you.
Yeah, go on.
I have to ask you, John, did you ever do stewarding at one of these matches now, in a local match, a GAA match, where you put on the high-vis jacket and say to lads you can park? Did you actually ever do it? I'd love to feck and see you do that. That'd be great crack.
Oh, no, many years ago. I think I started that whole carry on. We used to do it at our gigs and everything. We used to be outside the gigs years ago before we...
I know, yeah.
We'd be outside the door telling people you can't come in, or we'd be down the street directing traffic. And the show would have began 15 minutes before the show, because people were saying, like, because you go with a vis jacket and you point and people will just do it. They go there. I mean, the power of a vis jacket.
It's unbelievable.
Well, it was. I'm not sure there's a heaven clout that it did have, but we were very aware of that anyway in the past, But no, I don't think I'd like to do anything close in the match, really. I'd prefer to be, because I've been that spectator as well, I remember being in for a rugby match over in Wales. I think it was one of the Heineken Cups that Munster won, And I was the steward looked at me and he says, I know what you want to do. He says, I said, I just feel like running onto the pitch and hugging all those fellas, And he says, if you do that, we're going to have to arrest you. But he said, I know, I wouldn't blame you if you did. Like he said, I can see the emotion in all of your support. Because there's a half a Munster there, And it was kind of crossing through my head. And he saw me just climbing, ready to go onto the pitch. He said, oh, please don't do it. That's passion for you, and he had to warn me, and he says, you're going to be arrested if you do that. So I'm all right,
and you didn't do it.
I didn't do it, but I felt like running on and hugging them all. But that's the emotion of sport,
That's it.
When they won the All-Ireland last year, I remember meeting them off the station. And I was like a child. I followed the bus all the way from the state convent station, down Mallow Street, up O'Connell Street, running after the bus.
I was down there for it, yeah. It was phenomenal.
It was amazing.
Unbelievable. It was just...
It was lovely to be part of that, innit?
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
That's what it's all about.
And I think theatre is a bit like that too, with a walk,
Yep. It does, yeah.
It sure is. There's no difference between any of those things, really, because if something can hit you emotionally and you feel like standing up, or you feel like shouting, or you feel like crying, or you feel like laughing, just think that's great.
John, never lose the passion. I'm going along myself, hopefully tomorrow night, so I might see you there. And listen,
I might see you afterwards. Then it'd be great to see you, and I'd love to. Yeah, I'll enjoy it anyway. I know you will, because I'm not just there, but I hope I do a good performance, and everyone, it's going to be a special night. I know that, because what I'm dealing with is not just because me. I think I have something. There's a lovely piece of writing there, and I'm lucky to have my hands on it. That's it.
Fabulous. John Kenny, pleasure. God bless you, and good luck tomorrow night. We'll talk to you then, okay?
All right. Thanks, David.
Thanks very much, John.
Bye-bye.
God bless, Lon. Listening to John Kenny there. The Crowman is on tomorrow night in the Theatre Royal. John Kenny from Dunbelievables. What's your favourite Dunbelievables sketch? Text us in your favourite Dunbelievables sketch. Is it the sweets in the shop, or is it the you can't park there, or what is it? Let us know. 083 333 975.
Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to Mulligan's. Did you know you can collect your Blue Club points online? See mulliganspharmacy.com.
Now, thanks for your texts and your comments. Lovely to talk to John Kenny there. Damien, a very important message in relation to roadworks in Lemmy Bryan. Obviously, there's roadworks outside of WLR at the minute, but in relation to roadworks in Lemmy Bryan, I understand there's huge delays and people are taking shortcuts, especially in areas around Kilrossenty. Some cars are absolutely flying it. Can you please remind people to slow down, and thanks a million. Gavin, those roadworks are fairly bad, and there are a lot of people taking back roads,
absolutely. Myself included there, Damien, because you are, it's a good 15-20 minutes, especially at peak times, maybe come back around kind of 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and imagine now, so people veering up there by the Kilrossenty pitch, or turning off coming out by Durrow there as well.
Those
narrow roads, and
very
people are on bikes at the Greenway and everything. So just people beware and just slow down a bit of common sense,
Yeah, we've had a text in from Mary Doyle, Secretary of the Blues Supporters Club. Please, a big call out to all supporters to come out this evening to support the Blues. Your club needs you. Come on, the Blues. This is a massive game tonight, Gavin, for Waterford. playing Derry?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we all echo those sentiments. There's so much on the weekend, but what a way to start with Waterford and Derry tonight. I know Derry were down early yesterday, which I found kind of interesting because it's a long day today to try and build those players up to a game. But I presume they'll have a kick around this morning. Like they're chasing Europe, we're chasing badly needed points. I mean, we need to get points on the table. I know we're kind of preaching the same thing every week, but I think a lot of players, no, Matt was out of trend yesterday. They're keen to perform tonight. Good display up in Rovers the other night. Just Chev Dukas, kind of a rush of blood to the head, and had to play most of the second half, the entire second half, even with 10 men.
It was a far better display than they had
previous to that,
Rovers
exactly.
down,
5-1. So I think build confidence, get the crowd behind them, because the RSC, it was a good fortress venue last year. Just results have kind of gone against them this year, and they just seem to be kind of lacking that bit of confidence. It's only the 2 wins in the cup they've had to show for the last couple of weeks. But for Rennie and his players, it'd be great to have the Blue Army kind of out in force there tonight. So
kick off tonight is
7:45 kick off. Matt will be there to keep us posted as always. Regular updates across the evening here in Dublin North. So, but I know there was encouraging everyone to go down.
Yeah, there was around 1,400, I think, or 500 at the Rovers match,
which was a Monday night, which was decent enough.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. So we need to get as close as possible to 2,000 there tonight. There should be a good crowd. It's a very, very important match for Waterford, and get as many people there as possible.
It certainly is, absolutely. Considering you go to Cork on Monday, Damien, for one of your kind of rearranged games, another Munster derby, and Cork have Neil Fenn back there, new manager. They're going to be keen to perform. I know they have a home game as well tonight, but if Waterford could get a positive result tonight, go up to Leaside, plenty of confidence then on Monday night.
Massive, yeah. Have you got a favourite Dunbelievable sketch? No,
not really. Pull hard and pull often, I suppose, is one, wasn't it?
Somebody has texted in the one at the back of the church, the one at the back of the church, the chat on when Mass is on. That was brilliant.
Class, yeah. I love that about having the dinner at 8 o'clock in the morning, is it?
And definitely the sweets in the shop, says another one. Yeah, having the dinner before going to the match. Yeah, you'd have to have the dinner early. All right, that'd be a good one. There'll be a lot of lads like that. Tell me, there'll be lads having dinners early enough in different parts of Waterford. I wonder will Peter Queally have the dinner at 8 o'clock in the morning. Here's a little bit of Peter Queally, the Abbeyside manager.
We probably all expected it nearly, to be honest. The way the groups, with the system that's been in place the last couple of years, there's the lesser groups and then you can't play certain teams, so we kind of had a 50-50 chance that we play in Dungarvan, and I suppose it was almost inevitable that we would be drawn against them. And look, it's a great draw for everyone, for us, for them, for the county board, for neutrals, for their own supporters, so it's the draw that I suppose everyone wanted, really.
The draw that everyone wanted. Abbeyside Dungarvan, massive match.
Absolutely, yeah. I was up there during the week, Damien. You can really feel the buzz around both sides of the bridge there. You know what I mean? The countdown is on to Sunday, and it is a cracking game. I'm sure from the board's point of view as well. Sunday evening is going to be a cracking atmosphere there. You have Mount Sinai Lismore beforehand, so advice really, Dungarvan and Abbeyside fans, I'm sure, will be over there early to get their seats, and on the bank as well. Hopefully the weather will be fine. But it's all the buildings. It's a long, good, healthy rivalry there. I'm sure there'll be no love lost on the field Sunday night. There's a place in the last 4 up for grabs, so both teams are going to be going at it hammer and tongs, and
it's a great and that's a great double bill, because the Mount Sinai Lismore match is promised to be very good as well. Dermot D is the Dungarvan manager. You got a clip of Dermot. Here's what Dermot had to say.
I get the feeling that people knew what the draw was before it happened. Without being disrespectful to anybody, Abbeyside and Dungarvan it's a big fixture. It always has been. I don't see it being any different in this occasion. 2 good hurling teams, plenty of talented players amongst the 2 clubs. And I'm sure it'll be a spectacle in the weekend. It certainly will draw a big crowd, because there's a level of interest there that just Abbeyside and Dungarvan seem to attract, and we look forward to it. Yeah. Abbeyside are missing a couple of players, we understand. They would have gone in, they're still slight favourites on it. They've been maybe more aggressive than Dungarvan in terms of the build-up over the last couple of years, but Dungarvan have been very, very close. It potentially could be a right humdinger.
Absolutely, yeah. Dungarvan, coming on the back of a win against 4 Mile last again, very impressive. Ryan Donnelly looked razor sharp. Patrick Kern looked back to his kind of brilliant best. Dara Lyons back from injury, so they're kind of gaining momentum. Dermot Chargers, they've Jimmy Meany in there doing a lot of coaching. Very, very proud hurling man, and has them hurling well, so they're going to bring a lot to the table. They'll have a big crowd over there as well. Abbeyside, from listen to Peter there this morning, we were playing a clip of them, that they're without Sean Whelan Barrett and Tom Luby, 2 massive losses. I know they're 2 young players, but they're kind of, even though they're only under 20, like, they've still great experience, and I suppose bring a lot to the table. Sean has a bit of a hip injury, I think, and Tom Luby is out of the country, so 2 massive losses. But look, there are 2 guys there, Damien, who are going to get their opportunity. And Abbeyside, they were in the county final last year, lived with Ballygunner for long spells. They're going to be keen. They don't they won't want to lose this, and neither will Dungarvan. So probably maybe physically wise, maybe Abbeyside a little bit stronger, but I'm expecting a huge challenge from Dungarvan. But if I put the gun to my head, I'd probably give a hesitant, very, very hesitant nod Abbeyside to shade it.
Call the Mount Sinai Lismore match.
Yeah, very interesting game here. Lismore, even though they don't have the greatest panel, they seem to be getting the best out of their players. I mean, Maurice Shanahan, Paddy Prendergast, David Prendergast, Jack Pender. You've Dan kind of in the role of selector, kind of slash impact sub as well. I'd expect him to see action at some stage, and he'll take watching. Mount Sion building. I was talking to John Meany during the course of the week. They're happy with their season. Quarter-final was always their aim. I think it's their 11th quarter-final in a row, which credit to Mount Sion. And they are in a kind of a period of transition. They don't have the maybe strength and depth as they had before. And Austin Gleeson back to his best. Brilliant against Clonea last week. Yep. I'd probably give the edge to Lismore, maybe based on maybe experience at this stage of the season, maybe, and playing far field as well, worth a few points to him. So Lismore to shade it.
The other two quarter-finals, we have the intriguing clash of Ballygunner and Passage, trying to catch them at this quarter-final stage.
Yeah, well, they say Ballygunner have always one bad game during the year, Damien. I'm sure Passage are probably praying that it'll be tomorrow. I know you been out there yourself. There's a great build-up. I'd say there's a great buzz around the area, and 2013. You were alluding to that the other day. It's probably still in the back of Ballygunner's minds, that unforgettable county final comeback from Passage. They have a lot of their players back. Passage, I believe Jason Roach is going to be a huge loss. I was talking to even Fintan Welch, to PRO Passage this morning. He's going to be a loss, but look, there's someone going to get their chance there. Motoring well with the Connors is, plenty of experience in that Passage team. Thing is though, how do you stop Ballygunner? Desi Hutchinson is kind of a massive impact as well. It seems to be good target man at the edge of the square with his touch, and you have the Mahonys. We know the strength and depth in that Ballygunner panel, and I think it'll come down to that if they have guys that don't, they have kind of guys off the bench too can make kind of that.
They're like Shane O'Sullivan isn't available.
Yeah, he's suspended by the way.
There's a couple of it's there's potential there, but obviously it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, absolutely. I give Passage every chance going into it. I think quarter-final can happen. Ballygunner, they've been kind of waiting in the wings there the last 5 weeks. Passage very impressive against Tallow last week. Used the ball well, used their strength well. I'd expect this to go maybe down to the last 10 minutes. Just the Gunners, maybe greater experience and players to come off the bench. Gives from my point of view the Gunners to advance and maintain that and 6 in a row bid.
And the other quarter-final?
Yeah, Romore and De La Salle, 1/2 Sunday Welsh Park. Two teams who know each other and two close teams. A bit of
close teams. Really good
derby
battle
there. Really good battle. Romore, didn't play really well for long spells against Ballyduff last weekend, but got over the line. You've players like Gavin O'Brien really leading the line, superbly great athlete. Billy Nolan, absolutely phenomenal. His two brothers are there as well. You've Ray Connolly and these kind of experienced guys there as well. But De La Salle, hugely impressive, Damien, this year. They seem to be kind of fine-tuning everything and timing their run. I think they racked up 5-22 or something, was it, in the league final a couple of weeks ago against Dungarvan. Hugely impressive. Brian Phelan, good manager. Plenty of pedigree there, and Kevin Moore, youth and experience. They've won a couple of under-21s. They're coming nicely. People said to me a few weeks ago they are probably the best team to challenge Ballygunner. I'd go along with that. I'm expecting a huge battle from Roanmore, and I give them every chance, but for me, De La Salle to shade it.
Tony Forrestal is on this weekend. There's a whole wealth of stuff on this weekend. There's loads of junior soccer on this weekend.
Of course, yeah.
The Tony Forrestal is massive.
It is indeed, yeah. And Martin Quinn will be featuring on our GA show Lorna Parker this evening with Tomas, so give that a listen. It's going 38 years now. It's phenomenal. Martin was saying this year was kind of challenging. There's so much on this weekend between the Legends game up in Mount Sion and the quarter-final weekend, and I suppose it's a pity everything is on the one weekend, but look, I'm sure there's going to be a feast of hurling. It's underway at 10 o'clock there, Damien, in the morning. St Saviour's, Erin's Own, Mount Sion as well, and Carrigan Orna is going to be one of the venues where the Waterford Tony Forrestal team are going to be based. Their first game is at 10 o'clock, and the Waterford Sunny Welsh team are going to be based up in Grace Dew. 12:30 is their first game. So the various Stacia Og, which they're now branded Damien development squads, are in action tomorrow all over the country, so we wish all the various squads and their mentors the best of luck. It's a real kind of development hurling squad weekend. Is kind of everything is being geared, I suppose, towards this, and it's great that Tony Forrestal and Sunny Welsh can be hosted here in Waterford, so get along and support.
Stay there. I want to talk to you just about the football in a second.
Déise Today with Damien Tiernan on WLR.
With thanks to mulliganspharmacy.com. Life's a beach with Mulligan's Pharmacies. Open late on the Dunmore Road and in Tramore.
Now, Gavin, riddle me this, riddle me that, okay? I'm going to do a little quiz with you,
really
okay?
Put me on the spot here now.
Yeah. Dublin's full of interesting place names. I mentioned some of them earlier, from Beggar's Bush to Misery Hill. Recently, an old list of riddles have been doing the round. People are really struggling to answer them, so I called out a few of them. So, a very dark boulder. This is a place in Dublin, a very dark boulder. Any ideas?
Dark boulder in Dublin.
Black Rock.
Black Rock, okay, right, okay, yeah, good, yeah, I know it. I have an uncle up there, actually, believe it or not, he'll kill me for that.
A church reptile.
Church reptile, rock something, no, I don't know.
Chapel lizard.
Chapel lizard.
A breed of sheep. You'll never get
thought
this
they'd
one.
only sheep down in Kerry.
Merino.
Merino, oh yeah.
A gravel paste.
You're probably looking at me now to say as if I should get this one, is it?
Stony batter. And the last
sake.
one, move out of the way. Move out of the way.
No.
Step aside.
Yeah,
Dublin are playing Kerry. Dublin are playing Kerry this Sunday. I wonder will there be any Kerry lads stepping aside? I wouldn't think so.
Well, I wouldn't think so. Definitely won't on Sunday anyway. There'll be no quarter given a rest. I think they're going to come with a massive show. Obviously, Dublin. We could see history created on Sunday. Let's be honest, both sides there in merit. First of all, Dublin have been unbelievable the last couple of years. Just again, you talk about strength and depth in their panel, but I think Kerry are going to approach this one like full of confidence. Just be worried maybe about the Kerry full backline and whether they can do enough. I think myself, Damien, Kerry are probably going to have to score 3 goals if they're going to win this game. Whether they can do that or not, I'm not sure. Obviously, if players like Sean O'Shea and David Clifford play up to scratch, they're well capable of doing that. But Dublin backs are so tight, and it's unbelievable. So it's going to be hard to judge on that. But we'll just have to wait and see how it pans out on the day. But Clifford is a top-notch player, but Dublin's middle third I think is going to be crucial. Michael Dara McCauley has been kind of going well. Brian Fenton, I think he's never lost the championship game for Dublin. Yeah. And when you get ball then into the likes of Dean Rock and Cormac Costello, he's actually I think out of the fray at this stage. Paul Mannion has been unbelievable. Kieran Kilkenny, carrier the ball, the runners off the shoulder. I think the Kerry back is going to find that a little bit too hard, but it's going to be intriguing. It will be intriguing.
Yeah, they're going to miss Crowley in a big way. I know there's a few lads there's a bus going up from Galtier as well. So
not on it yourself, no.
I'm not making any comment on that now at this stage. Skinny's organising the bus.
God help me. So
he's like it's like organising Brexit now. He's trying to do things. Anyway, have a listen. What did you say? You said the lads at the back of the church, isn't that it?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, have a listen. Have a listen.
Philomena Walsh.
Oh, my jeez, I didn't.
I'm telling you, that's Philomena Walsh. That's Paddy Welch's daughter. That's the English girl.
So she's too big to one of Paddy's.
Jesus, haven't all them Walshes the same? Haven't they bigger sitting than they are standing? Long back and short legs. That's Paddy Welch's daughter. That's Philomena Walsh.
So I know them all. That's not one of them.
I'm telling you, that's Philomena Walsh.
No, sir, haven't you Bernie, Bridges, Bridie, Bodie and Brenda?
That's right. And there's Vera, Veronica, Vanessa and Valerie.
That's right. Then you have Mina, and Mona.
That's right, yeah, the 3 twins.
That's right.
That's right. You Mona.
That's right, Mona. And then you have Mary.
There's Mary.
Yeah.
And there's one of them very young. There's one of them very young.
Oh, Jesus, what's this?
There's one of them very young. There's one of them very young. There's one of them. There's one of them. There's one.
Fishing. No, Jesus.
Sweden, that's right. And that's the English girl down there. Oh, well, ourselves have the dinner on for 12:30.
Lovely.
So we're having soup, then we're having roast spuds, boiled spuds, Injun spuds, old spuds, no spuds, mashed spuds. We're having roast beef, jelly and ice cream, sweet cake. No tea, no wash up. Straight out the door. I'd say we'll be at the match at about 5 to.
Lovely.
Yourselves.
How we said we'd have a clear run today, so we did dinner this morning at 8:30.
You can't beat it. It's brilliant, isn't it? It really is classic.
Yeah, not a bad idea for the weekend that's in it.
For the weekend that's in it. Gavin Whelan.
Can I just wish the Colligan lads the best of luck tonight, Damien, in the quarter-final against Sherlines. Unfortunately, I'm ruled out myself.
I'm going to wish the Sherline lads the best of luck.
Well, sure, okay,
wish everybody the best.
Wish everybody the best, but yeah, hopefully.
And you're injured yourself.
Do the business myself. Yeah, ruled out for tonight, but hopefully back in the next couple of weeks anyway, Damien.
Oh, that's you're presuming if you win.
Well, yeah, exactly. When we win.
Hey, Gavin Whelan, thank you very much.
What our sound.
Thank you everybody for all your texts and comments this morning. Thank you for everybody during the week, and thanks to Jennifer for producing. A certain young man, a DJ, is up next. Isn't that right, Gavin? He's in there, ready to go. Thank you, Aisling Boland, for helping us out on our social media stuff. We will have more next week. Keep your texts and comments coming in. Anybody who has any events on over the weekend, enjoy it. Hope the weather is good to you. Thank you, everybody.